Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Chicago Blackhawks franchise mode here in NHL 23. So in last episode, we simulated a little bit more of the season. We also made some line adjustments just to try and figure out where Vance best fits on this team. And it seems like his best fit is on the top line at the center position, as we were basically comparing where he did the best at. And it seems like top liner with the most ice time possible, he actually does better, which makes sense. Yeah, we could always still try him on the wing on the top line if we want to at some point, just because Byfield technically is, I'd say he's better to have down the middle just because he is a bigger guy, but we don't know for sure. We could try Vance on the left side and right side on the top line again and just see what he does, but Vance is off to an okay start. He definitely rebounded a little bit from his kind of a slow start, I'd say. He has 19 goals so far through 60 games, so he could potentially hit like 28 to 30 goals, my guess, by the end of the season in the last 22 games. We'll see where he ends up finishing, but this guy does shoot the puck quite a bit. As you can see, he's got 204 shots in 60 games, and when we did like some math beforehand, it seems like this guy is going to be like a 0 on the shooting bias, so he may end up scoring quite a bit of goals in his NHL career, which would be pretty awesome. And yeah, some of the other young guys have been doing still pretty good. Pedersen's been winning faceoffs, which is what I like. Haltonen's been doing pretty decent as well. You can see that he's got 16 goals and 27 assists, so yeah, he's having a pretty good rookie campaign. And in general, the team has been pretty good, I'd say, for the most part. Like, our defensive play hasn't been the best, I would say. But our goaltenders have a combined 7 shutouts so far at this point in the season, so I am not complaining too much about how the roster is simulating. It's good to see a lot of the young guys actually producing already in the lineup, because that means with some growth, this team could be a very solid team, I'd say. But anyways, before we get into potentially making some trades or simulating the rest of the season, we might not make any trades, I don't know. But we do have a couple comments to go over. So the first one is from HockeyGuy88. He says, I don't think you need to make any trades, just let the guys play, which I think that's probably what I'm thinking with this team, just because we're kind of a young team. We don't want to make any trades to make ourselves too competitive, and we don't want to make any trades to make ourselves go back into rebuilding still more. I'd rather just give this team a shot and see if they make the playoffs, and if we just barely miss, so be it. At least these guys get some experience to like kind of playing meaningful games down the stretch, or if we make the playoffs, they get some meaningful time to play in the playoffs and get some experience from that going forward, which I think is also a benefit for sure. Next comment is from Yanni-Pekka Savinas. He says, maybe a bold suggestion, but I'd try and trade Fiala and maybe even Byfield for top picks and some cap dumps already at the deadline. After all, you are in the middle of a rebuild just because your forward core is just about over 20 years old through all the lines. I know the playoffs are an intriguing thought, but I'd take a step on the break and keep building towards the future dynasty. And your defense is still missing a few elite prospects. Fiala is about on the top of his ceiling at the moment, and his draft value isn't going up upwards. Byfield is a beast, but I honestly think you got way too much quality centers for the future, even without him. So I'd maybe look around if somebody was to give massive pieces back for him for the longer run. Great series and keeps getting better. Keep it up. Thank you for that, Yanni-Pekka. And now, I still don't know about trading Byfield just yet. I might want to wait until the offseason, because he's been having a really good season. As you can see, he's an 89 overall, and he's leading the team in points. He's already got way more points than last year. He's been definitely, I'd say, our best player probably on the roster. But I do get what you're saying with the fact that Vance is probably better suited at center, and Pedersen's definitely better suited at center. So Byfield does not really fit the like winger mold. So we'd probably have to try and find ourselves some winger. As for Fiala, I definitely could see the use for moving him away probably in the offseason as well. He's playing pretty well this season as well, 50 points in 60 games. Definitely a lot better than last year, where he was like a minus 58 throughout the 82 games. But yeah, I think you might be onto something in a sense, but I don't think we're going to be doing those trades in this season. I think we're going to wait until like the draft or something like that to make moves like that. But I don't really know if I should be moving Byfield or what, because I think Vance would still probably be better on the wing, and then we could still use Byfield as like a number 1 center until Pedersen's ready to take that step. But honestly, at the moment, I really don't know for sure. I know Fiala could definitely be one of these guys that get replaced by a younger guy at some point, because there is guys in the system at the moment that could definitely take over that time. Like, eventually Hayes might be like a good third liner. I don't know how he develops really in franchise mode, but he might take over that type of thing. I believe we have some other prospects as well that could take that role. And we also have good defensive prospects that should be in our lineup as soon as possible too. So I think it's not that bad of an idea for our young team to try and go for something, because Brunstrom and Korchinski definitely are pieces of the future for this blue line. Sam Girard is still here for another one season after this, so after that he might end up getting replaced by somebody, or we might hold on to him because he is still pretty young. Manson and Regula and Jones, on the other hand, I don't know how long term these guys are with the team. Maybe Regula stays here since he's only 25. But yeah, a lot of up in the air questions, I'd say, about this team. But I think it's okay if the team ends up making the playoffs, just because, like I was saying, it's some at least valuable experience for the main guys like Halton and Pedersen and Vance, because those are the three guys I think we're trying to build this team around. Maybe also Frank Nazar in that sense. So the next comment is from Christopher Davis. He said, just noticed the abbreviation for Pedersen's Liga teams. So he's just throwing out this funny joke. As you can see, he played for Liga, he played for SAT, and obviously the abbreviation is AS for some reason. I don't know why it's like that, but that is what he's bringing up. So, and he said that he asked a question if they're the bottom dwellers of the league. Funny joke there, Christopher. So that's that comment. And the final comment is from James Hollingshead. He says, Nazar needs to play on the third line, at least in my opinion. Either swap him with Khrushchev or trade Khrushchev to bring up Athanasiou. Would also look into trading Fiala to give more minutes to young talent on the team. So, like I was just saying, Fiala probably will be getting dealt, I'd say, at the draft if we are going to be making those moves, because obviously Frank Nazar probably should be into our top 6 next season, I'm guessing, maybe our top 9 more so, actually. And then guys like Khrushchev, even though I gave him a long-term contract, it might be time to be looking for potential trades for Khrushchev, because of the fact this youth movement is going a little bit quicker than I actually expected, in a sense. And I didn't realize guys like Hayes actually developed that well. So he is still signed for 5 years more, so I don't know if there's going to be a lot of teams interested in Khrushchev, but Nazar should definitely be probably in this third line type of role, I'd say. So we are going to make a little bit of a roster change in terms of our lineup. We are going to move Kubalik over to the left side, and I'm going to put Khrushchev down on the 4th line, I think, just because of the fact that Nazar definitely needs that ice time. But yeah, Khrushchev is kind of getting weaned out of the lineup. And yeah, Fiala, like I said, would maybe get dealt this coming off season. So other than that, I don't think this team really needs to make any changes. We just might as well see what this team could do, because our forward core actually looks pretty good on paper in terms of overalls. Like, we have nobody below an 80, which is kind of nice. And our defensive core is nobody below an 80 as well. Goaltending is pretty solid as well, and depth-wise is also pretty solid, even though Erica Branson is there. So I think this team actually looks a lot better, and actually might have a chance to make the playoffs this year if we just keep it together. So I think we are going to keep it together. We will take a look at what type of trades that the AI does, though, and we'll probably just simulate the rest of the season and see how we finish up the year. Sorry if there was any audio problems there. I just saw that my audio kind of like spiked up, so I don't know if there was any audio problems at that stage. Hopefully not. But anyways, let's simulate the rest of this. So we'll simulate this game, and then we'll take a look after the deadline and see if there was any huge blockbuster trades. Okay, I did just double check and make sure there was no audio problems for some reason. But anyways, let's advance to the day of the trade deadline, or actually the day afterwards, and see what big trades have happened at the deadline, and we'll see if this team ends up making the playoffs or not. And we lost to the Rangers the day before the deadline, so that might not be a good sign, but we'll see what happens the rest of the way. There was a big trade, Detroit and Ottawa. Detroit gets 2 first-round picks, one for 2026 and one for 2027 for Taylor Radish, so that's an interesting trade there. David Perron on waivers, that's a bit of an interesting one. He is only signed for 1 year. That's not bad as a depth option. Is not doing too bad offensively considering his overall, but I don't think I would claim him, to be honest. Even though he is coming off like 32 points last year and 50 points the year before, he is definitely dropping off, and he probably will end up retiring. It's not a bad depth pickup, I'd say, but I don't think I am going to do it, just because I don't think we need to pick up depth anyways going into the playoffs if we actually make the playoffs, because who knows if this team still is. We're only 3 points up on the Jets, who have a wild card spot, and then the Kraken are 5 points back of us. So it should be interesting to see if we actually do make the playoffs or not. Let's take a look at those trades that happened at the trade deadline, see if there was any big blockbusters other than that one trade that we just saw. So Anaheim gets Jost. Okay, looks like Pittsburgh got some prospects in exchange. Buffalo got Heimo Salmi in a second for, looks like, Matt Waugh, basically. Buffalo traded Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen to Calgary. That's an interesting one. Wasn't expecting that. Brandon Duhaime to Calgary. Okay, not a huge trade. Hadcheck to Arizona. Alex Tuck to Arizona from Buffalo for some defensive prospect in a second. So it looks like Arizona is loading up. Sean Jersey to Calgary for Blake Coleman, Jack Beck, and 2 others. Damn, that's a pretty big trade. Mark Pysyk was also involved. Brandon Saad goes to New Jersey from St. Louis for a first-round pick and some prospect. Dennis Cholowski to Ottawa for some goalie prospect. Vrana to Anaheim from Philadelphia for a defensive prospect and a center prospect. Oscar Lindbaum to Minnesota. Roslovic, DeHaan, and Fisher go to Boston from Columbus for a first-rounder and some prospects. Carolina gets Kerfoot, Krejci, and Robinson for a first-rounder, and Pierre Kochetkov, who we were looking at potentially going after at some point. Hronek goes to San Jose from Detroit. So some interesting trades, some decently big ones, I'd say, but nothing crazy outrageous. So anyways, let's simulate the rest of the season and see where this team finishes up the year, because I honestly have no idea where we're going to finish. Like, if we're just going to squeak into the playoffs, if we're going to easily make the playoffs. It's pretty much up in the air at this stage, but hopefully the young guys, like hopefully Vance has a good end to his rookie season. I want him to at least hit like 30 goals this season, but I don't know if that's going to happen, as Fiala has been injured with a sore shoulder, so maybe we should have looked to trading him away, because that could hurt our playoff chances, because that's one of our top 6 players. And he's out till April the 5th, which means he's missing the majority of the rest of this regular season, which is unfortunate. We guess we will move. Maybe we can give Nazar a chance on that top 6. I don't see a bad option for that. Yeah, let's go with Nazar on the top 6 and see if he has anything that he could help us with. And we'll put Logan O'Connor in the rest of the lines, I think. Yeah, we'll give Logan O'Connor a lot of an opportunity. I don't really care who goes in that spot, because like I said, we don't really care if we contend too much. It's not the end of the world if Logan O'Connor is a terrible player, but he's been okay as a depth option. I think he had like 2 points in 3 games. What is the mistake? It's this type of thing. I'll just change that to somebody else. We'll change that over to Vance as the finisher, and the distributor will change that over to Frank Nazar. There you go. Perfect. Our lines are good and ready to go again. Let me just stop the simulation. Okay, so we're on a 3-game winning streak. That's pretty good. That definitely will help us in terms of making the playoffs if we are in fact to make it. Team still seems to be doing good even without Kevin Fiala, which is a good sign. Maybe Vance is still having a breakout portion of the season. We are now 41-24-7, so we should be pretty close to clinching a playoff spot. Yeah, we definitely should be really close to clinching that playoff spot, which is nice. And Byfield's still having a great year, so I don't really know if we should trade Byfield or not, because he's young. He's definitely helping this team out offensively. The question is he going to be somebody that we actually need down the road? Because like I said, he's playing left side right now, which he's not really, he shouldn't really be doing. Like, I could probably move Vance over to that side instead and try him out on the top line left wing. We'll move Nazar back down to the 3rd line. Logan O'Connor will come out and Fiala will go in. There you go, that's perfect. And our line is back to pretty much the way it was. Good. We'll stop the simulation again so I can actually see the scores that are happening. So we beat Montreal 4-0. Did we clinch the playoff spot then? No, we did not. We haven't clinched the playoff spot yet, which is kind of surprising, but we should probably be doing that soon. We got 8 games left. Let's go through these 4 games. One more win probably will clinch it, as Pettersson's been injured with a mild concussion. That's not good. The youngster's been injured, I think, 2 times already in his career, if I'm not mistaken. So let's just go replace player, but that's a pretty big injury. Our second line center. We do beat the Jets, and we also beat the Panthers, I think it said. So we did clinch a playoff spot, I'm pretty sure now, which is kind of good for the young guys, I'd say. Not necessarily the best thing in the world, because now we don't get a lottery pick. But, I mean, we could still find ourselves some nice late-round steals and all that type of thing. So, and, yep, we clinched a playoff spot. That's nice to see, kind of. It's going to be interesting to see what these guys finish off with for points and all that type of thing, and who we're going to be playing in the first round of the playoffs. Last 4 games of the season. Where do we finish off this season? we finished off with a 7-6 win over Seattle. 7 goals in our last 2 games each, so 14 goals combined. Pretty impressive. 47, 27, and 8 season for your Chicago Blackhawks. And yeah, we tied for the division lead in points with 102, but we had less regulation wins than Colorado, so pretty successful year for the Blackhawks, I'd say, considering the fact that we are kind of still in the middle of a rebuild in a sense. Like, we're kind of more, I guess, at that retool stage, if you will. I don't even really know how to explain it. But I guess we're not really contending, and we're not, well, yeah, we're kind of like an in-between of a contender and a retooler. Or, yeah, retool or rebuild, I don't know. Let's take a look at our team stats first to end off the season, see what we did good at, what we didn't do good at. So, even though we were second in the division, we finished 9th best in the NHL, so our division was a little bit weaker than most. Goals for per game wise, looks like our offense was okay. Yeah, it was okay. It was like mid-table, maybe a little bit below mid-table, maybe a little bit above mid-table, but 3.07. I'll take that. Goals against per game wise, we were not one of the best defensive teams, but we're pretty much right around mid-table as well. I think, yeah, right around mid-table as well. Tied with a couple other teams with Toronto, Vegas, and Winnipeg. All of us allowed 239 goals in our 82 games, which is kind of funny. So not too bad of a defensive season for the team, which is impressive considering we don't have a huge amount of good defensive prospects at the moment. Like, Edvinson's going to definitely play in the NHL next season. Our power play around mid-table as well, 16.1%, but that definitely has room to improve, I'd say. And our penalty kill at 82.9 definitely also has room to improve, I think. Unless there's a bunch of 81s here. Yeah, it definitely has room to improve. We're kind of mid-table in everything, so we might be a cheese team, who knows. 4 shorthanded goals, 22, 13, and 6 on home ice, and 25, 14, and 2 on the road. 6, 3, and 1 in our last 10 games, not bad. Let's take a look at those player stats, see how Vance and stuff like that finished off their rookie seasons. So Byfield, 72 points this year. Pretty impressive with Byfield. His plus-minus went down, though, to a +8 only. But, yeah, Byfield had a pretty good year. 25 goals and 47 assists. And some pretty good face-off stats. Obviously, he didn't take a lot of face-offs afterwards because we moved him to the wing. But we could always put him back to center for the playoffs if we really want to. And Vance hit 32 goals. That's exactly what I asked for from Vance, at least to hit 30 goals, and looks like he did play pretty good down the stretch. 52 points in his rookie year, up to an 88 overall already after 1 season, which means, yeah, he's going to be like probably like a 90 overall in his 2nd season. So after his ELC ends, I'm giving this guy an 8-year extension. That's already decided. He had 304 shots, which I think is exactly what I figured out in terms of what he was on pace for, and he had 32 goals. So he only shot 10%, but 32 goals in your rookie campaign, pretty good. 6 game winners already, too. Not bad. Face-off numbers were above 50%. Over 100 hits as a sniper as well, which is kind of cool. Pretty solid takeaway numbers as well, but below his giveaways. But still, pretty good season from Asher Vance. Should be interesting to see what he does in the playoffs. Pedersen, 48 points in 80 games, +2. Obviously, he was injured for the last little bit. His face-off numbers, 53.3, so he still maintained his face-off numbers, and his takeaway numbers, not the best still yet, but I think he definitely has a chance at winning a Selke if his takeaway numbers can improve drastically. Connor Zary was also pretty good, 45 points this year, and Nazar 39 points, Brad Lambert 37, Reichel 36, Khrushchev 27. So a lot of the young guys did pretty good in terms of center prospects. Left wing wise, Fiala had 61 points in 73 games before his injury, or after, I should say, I guess, because he came back. But yeah, very good season from Fiala. But he would definitely be one of these guys that we'd have to probably trade away in order to get some younger guys into our top 6 and all that type of thing. He is technically signed for 3 more years as well. Kubalik, 41 points, Olesen, 21 points, and Kachuk had an assist in 2 games, not bad. Holtonen, 60 points. Not bad. Not bad at all. A lot of our draft prospects that we drafted in the first few years of this, all having pretty good seasons. 60 points, 25 goals, 35 assists, 6 game-winning goals as well from Holtonen. Yeah, some of these guys I'm pretty impressed with. He's still listed as a third-line scoring forward, but he might get a lot of growth this offseason, which is good. So that's nice. And O'Connor had 5 points in 12 games as a depth option. Not too bad. Sam Girard hit 59 points. Korchinski hit 30 points. Wow. His ELC comes to an end soon as well. Manson 19 points, Brunstrom 19 points, pretty good. Jones 13 points, Regula 12, and Goodbranson 1 assist. Good to see Goodbranson at least get an assist. Comesso was really good, and Gustafson was phenomenal as a backup. I gave this guy like, $6 million as a joke, and he came in and he was phenomenal as our backup. Like a combined 9 shutouts from our 2 goaltenders. And Gustafson was definitely the better of the 2 in terms of save percentage and goals against. But I think I'll probably start Comesso for the playoffs. But honestly, we have 2 really solid goaltenders that we could run in the postseason, which is nice. In general, I really like what our team did this season. There was only a couple minus players as well. Caleb Jones being 1, Erica Branson, of course, being 1. Brad Lambert was minus, same with Nazar, and Vance was minus 12. So some of the young guys minus, but a lot of good pluses, a lot of good point totals. All in all, I'd say a successful season from a young team that definitely I didn't think was going to make the playoffs after what happened last season. So let's take a look at the player stats from around the league. So forward-wise, the best forward for points was Connor McDavid with 97 points this year. Best goal scorer was Ovechkin with only 48. So not a lot of scoring this year in the NHL, it seems like. Because that means Vance would have finished like all the way down here. Yeah, Vance would have literally been like top probably 50 in goals, which is kind of impressive. So there you go in terms of points. It's kind of funny that McDavid had 97 points though, considering he's number 97. Let's see from some fun stats for forwards as well. Power play goals, Ovechkin 24 of them. Damn. Next closest was with 15 from DeBrincat and Bedard. Most game-winning goals also Ovechkin with 9. Most shorthanded goals, Schwartz and Marchand with 4. Shorthanded points was a 5-way tie. Yeah, 5-way tie with 4 points. Face-off numbers. Let's actually take a look at based on takeaways first to see the Selke candidates. Yeah, Barkov's going to win the Selke. Most takeaways from him, and he also had probably one of the best face-off percentages. So I'd say this is definitely going to Barkov this year again. Not a surprise, though. Most block shots by a forward for fun. Asher Vance. Wow. Vance, in his rookie season as a sniper, had the most block shots. That's not what I was expecting. 83 block shots. He had the most block shot of any forward, even more than Barclay Goodrow. That's interesting. Maybe Vance could play on the penalty kill. Yeah, I'm really impressed with Vance in that sense. He had a lot of block shots as a forward and a sniper. Most points by a defenseman, Dougie Hamilton, easily going to win the Norris this year. 81 points in 82 games, and he was also a plus 29. He had 29 goals this year. God damn, he went off. Is his contract up this year? Nope. Because if it was, then that probably wouldn't have made sense. Interesting. A couple of defenders actually hit 20 goals this season. Interesting. Best goalie in terms of wins is going to be Thatcher Demko with 44. Most shutouts is going to be Demko with 44. And save percentage by a starter is going to be Demko with a 919. Best goals against average by a starter is going to be Vasilevsky with a 237. But Demko played more games and had just a little bit worse goals against average. So I think Demko is going to win the Vezina. But honestly, Vasilevsky is definitely up there because Vasilevsky actually had way less games played and the same amount of wins almost. So they might give it to Vasilevsky, to be honest. Any goalie goals this season for fun? No goalie goals, any goalie assists. That's big. Ottinger had 5 assists. Damn. That's impressive. And best rookie this year was Francois Wall with 60 points for the Anaheim Ducks. Interesting. Vance finished top 3 in rookie points, though. I do like that. That's nice to see. And he definitely was the highest scoring rookie in terms of goals this year. Frank Nazar was also up there. It's good to see that, too. Yeah, Vance was the best rookie goal scorer easily by 9 goals, but he was 8 points back of Wall and only 3 points back of Dvorsky. So there we go. There is the player stats. Let's see who we're playing in the first round of the playoffs, and we'll compare us between them in the regular season and also see what their lineup is like. But we are making the playoffs for the first time, which is nice, and we are going to be taking on the Dallas Stars. Ooh, I feel like we're going to get cheesed. We had a really solid season. Dallas had a 41-29-12 record, and they're 5-3-2 in their last 10 games going into the playoffs. I feel like we're going to get cheesed. And then it's not going to be good that we made the playoffs because now we're not going to have a draft lottery spot. Let's do a comparison to them in the regular season. So we finished in second. They finished in third. They were almost 10 points back of us. Their offense was not that good at all. They averaged 2.85 goals per game. We averaged 3.07. Their goals against was a little bit worse than ours, 2.99 to 2.91. Our power play was also better by like 2% almost. Their penalty kill was actually really good this year, 86.7%. So that's one strength that the Dallas Stars had. One shorthanded goal only though, 18-18-5 on home ice and 23-11-7 on the road. Let's take a look at what that roster looks like for them. Should be interesting. Then I'll take a look at the playoff tree in depth a little bit more, and then that'll be it for this episode. I don't know if next episode will be pre-recorded. It might end up being, but I still will probably throw you guys' comments up in that video just over top of it as I randomly talk for a little bit. So just because I do like pre-recording playoff episodes, because it didn't at least to get some episodes pre-recorded for future weeks, and I could work on my roster builds and all that type of thing. So, but anyways, Dallas has Jason Robertson. Not a surprise, this guy is an insane player. Rupe Hintz still really good, and Michael Bunting is there. That's a really good top line for a team that like just barely made it into the playoffs, I'd say. Second line has Nino Niederreiter, Tyler Seguin still playing, and Victor Olofsson. Really solid second line, more of a, yeah, probably a good second line, I'd say. Third line is really good as well. They have Mason Marchment, Wyatt Johnson, and my favorite player, Cam Atkinson, of course. Yeah, this is a good-looking team. That's a really solid third line. And then the fourth line has Jonathan Drew and Brett Howden and Logan Stankoven. Yeah, this is a very solid forward core. Might be one of the best forward cores I've seen an AI team have in the playoffs. I like it. How about their defensive core? Okay, now this might be why... Actually, no, it's good. I was going to say this might be why they weren't as good of a team, but they have Heiskanen, who's good, obviously. Nils Lundqvist is pretty solid. In real life, at least he is. Cale Fleury, Nick Hague's decent as well. They also have Thomas Harley and Dylan DeMello. Yeah, that's a decent defensive core, I guess. You have like 3 guys listed as top 4s and 3 guys listed as top 6s, so it's not the worst defensive core I've ever seen. And then you also got the stud like Heiskanen on the defensive core, which is pretty good. I didn't realize he's only 26, and then we're in 2026, so he must be fairly young to start franchise mode. I can't remember how old he is in real life, but at the moment. And then, yeah, Jake Ottinger, who had 5 assists in the regular season, was pretty decent. Not the best goaltender out there, but Colin Delia is his backup, which is a little bit of a weak goaltender to have his backup. But, damn, yeah, that's a really good team. And depth-wise, they have Gadjevich, Perunovic. That's kind of funny. 2 Itches, or 2 Vitches. And then Jarrett Anderson Dolan. Yeah, it's a good team. Good depth. Good forward core, obviously. Good defensive core, or average defensive core. And a very good starting goaltender. So, overall-wise, I am kind of scared of what is actually going to happen in this first-round matchup for sure. And final thing, let's take a look at that playoff tree again and just see what it looks like. So we are taking on, obviously, Dallas. Then there is Colorado and Vegas. Vegas is already up 1-0. Anaheim and Edmonton, Vancouver and Winnipeg, which Winnipeg's already up 1-0. Then in the East, you got Pittsburgh, Carolina, Philadelphia, and New Jersey. Philly's up 1-0 on that series. Ottawa and Boston, and Tampa and Toronto. Tampa's up 1-0 already in that series as well. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our Chicago Blackhawks franchise mode. So in next episode, we will take it to round 1 against the Dallas Stars, and we'll see if this team could do anything this year. If not, at least it is some experience for the young guys. So I guess think down below, and I'll see you guys next time.